Today's character introduction is focused on Missy Nash. Now, Missy is a character that doesn't get introduced until Volume 3, and as such, this is going to be another slightly spoilery episode. Her introduction is kind of spoilery, so we'll just get into that right off the bat. She is the target of an investigation that Madison gets hired for. Now, as I mentioned before, Madison actually does become a private investigator running his own firm. And as such, he gets hired for various cases throughout volumes 3 through 5. One of these cases is a missing persons case, which is because Missy gets out of work, never makes it home one day. The story that involves Madison takes place about a year later. The police have gotten no leads. They've not gotten anywhere. They end up hiring Madison as a private investigator to try to do his thing to try to help and hopefully find her. And he does. Just not immediately directly. This is really the spoiler for that story, not for Tall Tales in general. But what you learn is that Missy got abducted. She was left for dead at the side of the road next to some woods. The woods that she kind of rolled into when she was thrown out of the car is in fact overseen by a specific Fey entity who holds dominion there and doesn't allow humans in, but isn't necessarily cruel. And so when a human enters injured on the brink of death without really any specific intention, clearly not planning to go there or meaning to break the agreement, the Fae ends up deciding to go ahead and heal her. Now, this is a Fae and doesn't do anything for free, and so it's expecting that once she's healed, she's just going to stay there kind of forever. But Madison ends up finding this information and seeking a way to speak to that spirit, and ultimately is able to get her released as soon as her time of healing, which is a year and a day, as soon as her time of healing ends, and she's back, able to be released. The thing is, she doesn't come back the way that she left. When she chooses to, she can look like she did. But the fact is that how she was healed by the Fae wasn't necessarily by just, patching up her wounds. It was actually by making her a part of nature, because that's something he can do something with. And so during the period of time when Madison's talking to the spirit, she's actually encased in nature and getting transformed. Now, Madison ends up explaining to her that she's now a dryad, which is mostly true. So one thing to know in Tall Tales is that dryads do exist. That is, the purely spiritual, the Fey entities or mythological creatures that live in forests and are bound to trees and, are just kind of nature spirits doing their thing. They are out there and they're not humans. But Missy is essentially a human that's been infused with dryad nature, with the dryad spirit stuff. Now, being human means a few things for her. One, it means that she's not bound to a specific tree. She actually can travel around. She can live a normal life most of the time. She can do all kinds of stuff like that. But being a dryad, or at least partially dryad, or at least infused with dryadness, I guess, means that Missy does have a certain bond to nature that does impact her life in pretty significant ways. One way it impacts her is that she has to regularly and fairly frequently go into the woods and just kind of be a part of nature for a time. As such, she can't live anywhere that's really far from the woods. She can't really go and establish a new lifestyle or a new home in a big city, or even really somewhere that she can't just up and walk into the trees. However, being a dryad does come with some benefits. She is not registered as human by animals and plants. She's registered as being a nature spirit, and as such, she actually can kind of walk among them and talk to animals and, engage with wild animals and actually communicate with plants. She also has an ability to help them grow or to kill them if she so desires, but to actually, magically affect the growth of living things, mostly plants, basically just plants for her. But she can affect the growth of plants. She can affect the health of plants. She can read the health of plants. She can actually do stuff like that. She can also pass through natural habitats very easily and, in fact, use magical passages that are available there. So she actually becomes a fairly significant character in Tall Tales because ultimately, while there is some time that passes in between this case and that, she does end up moving closer to Pittsburgh. Not so close that she doesn't have trees in her yard, but close enough that she has ready access to basically the only people that she knows that understand what's going on with her, which is like Madison and eventually Castor. The problem is, though, that there is some animosity here. Essentially, what happens is, in order to free her, Madison doesn't just go in and, like, convince the Fae to let her go out of the goodness of its heart or something. He essentially has to buy her off of this spirit, and as such, she is bound to him spiritually. And this is a point of tension because she doesn't really like the idea that in the eyes of kind of the spiritual realm, she kind of belongs to him. And this isn't something that he necessarily likes or wants to utilize or tries to abuse or anything like that. But it was for him the only way to get her back, and for her a gross, dehumanizing thing that happened to her. But the fact that she's there and that she has these connections to the natural world, and that, you know, she kind of can't escape being in Madison's orbit to some degree, means that she does recur throughout the story. She does go to him for information on the spiritual realm. She does meet Castor through him and start working with him to learn more about specifically dryads and, you know, various other woodland spirits that she has to deal with. And she's able to help out on cases. Anyway, like I said, she will first appear in Tall Tales Volume 3, which I'm currently working on, so I encourage you to keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, you can find the whole Tall Tales story and links to the wiki and everything like that here at talltalesuf.com. There will be more information up about her as the book actually gets written and released and stuff like that. And also, if you sign up for the newsletter, you'll get to find out when Tall Tales 3 comes out and get first dibs at that. So check that out. You know, sign up, keep an eye out. Thank you. Enjoy.